To the planning board meeting of Pleasant Valley. And board members and applicants who speak tonight, please remember to speak into the microphone. Thank you. Okay, so first on our agenda is IPP Solar. Here he goes. Okay, so.
Good evening. Does that work?
Yeah, that's
Good evening, distinguished members of the board and the public. My name is Lely. I'm with IPP Solar. We are a solar company based in New York City. And we are here to request an amendment to the approval we got 2 years ago now. For our solar array at the Mid-Lane solar system that we had proposed 2 years ago. And we can explain a little bit more in detail what the proposed changes are. Yeah, this is in the context of installing a 7.5 megawatt solar system under the community solar program of the state of New York, where we can provide, county to residential and help bring renewable energy to the area. So I'm here with our civil engineer, Joe Hens from Ingalls and Associate. Joe was he prepared all the drawings and made the changes also this time. And we have some updated drawings, also a letter from us explaining the changes. Perhaps I can turn it over to you. If you can tell me what you would like me to discuss first, I'll be happy to do so. And then, or we can dive in the changes we are proposing.
Yes, why don't you just show us where they were going to be and where they are now moving to?
Sure. So, first of all, if you recall, we had agreed with the board to have a conservation easement to protect some of the outside areas. And so we have reached an agreement with Winnicke Land Trust, who will take over the conservation easement. And as part of that easement, we have originally agreed to put solar panels within the 2 building envelopes that you see on the top. And after we did more in-depth analysis, in particular, we flew a plane, shot laser to get a very precise topo map of the site. And now the new technology allows you to have this by the inch. We didn't have the chance to do it, unfortunately, but so basically we come to the conclusion that the southern section, the trees are so tall, and with the topo, there would be just a lot of shading on the southern side of the 2, what we call the 2 building envelopes. And in order to minimize that effect, we are proposing to move some of the solar panels to what is called the former junkyard area in the bottom left. So we believe that this is a superior proposal or layout, because as it indicates, the bottom left is a former junkyard area. There is, look, some debris. It was a little section of it was a shooting range, and it's a much less of an environmental value than putting solar panels on the southern side of the two building envelopes. Furthermore, by putting panels on the bottom left in the former junkyard area, we are farther away from the two properties on the south side. And so it would be even less visible to the neighbors. The panels on the former junkyard area will not be visible by anyone anyways, and they are pretty well surrounded. So we believe that this is a superior design. Joe, did you want to add anything here? Am I missing anything?
Good evening. Like Mazier said, my name's Joe Hans. I'm the civil engineer for the project from Ingalls and Associates. The other change we made to this that Mazier hasn't pointed out is we extended the access road that originally had the single crossing. We still maintain that same crossing, so there isn't any additional permitting requirement. We're still avoiding the 100-foot DEC wetland buffers for the wetland areas on the south that are flagged as DEC wetlands. The site had the mix of both Army Corps and state wetlands, which was kind of a unique situation. The wetlands to the north have a 25-foot offset per the town requirements, and the state has a 100-foot requirement. So like I said, we're not proposing any wetland buffer impacts for the state. There's a slight impact for the town, and like before, we'll need a town wetland impact permit. We're also in receipt of a letter from the town designated engineer dated June 2nd, which we're in the process of responding to with some additional engineering comments. I have draft responses, so if we want to go over anything in detail tonight, we can, or we could wait till we submit a formal submission. We just wanted to make sure that the planning board had the plans in their hands for the meeting tonight, but we're working diligently on getting those comments resolved.
One other thing I wanted to add is, we understand the sensitivity, and we want to basically work with the community to make this a better project. So, for instance, we came to realize that somehow, if you look at the eastern building envelope, on the western border of that, there was a line of hickory trees that, as you may know, are habitat for bats, and we want to protect the bats because of all the positive effect of mosquitoes. By saving those, we would also lose some panels. So again, another reason why we are trying to move everything as much as we can to the former junkyard. But we are facing a difficult topo still with tall trees on the south side of the junkyard area as well. And it is not an easy site, but I think this new layout, again, in our view, is a superior layout to the original one proposed.
Did you want to, sorry, Megan.
Hello. So as they said, we did issue a comment memo on June 2nd. If the applicant doesn't have any questions, and if the board doesn't have any questions about that, I don't think we need to get into details too much at this point, because a lot of it we do need an applicant response, specifically regarding that the former junkyard area is a contaminated area. It's not considered a brownfield, but it is had junk in it, so it's not a clean area. And one of the concerns would be that due to the proximity, this is a wetland here, so disturbance of the soil is something that we're concerned about due to runoff into that DEC wetland. So also depending on the proximity of the limits of disturbance to the DEC wetland buffer, it could be worth circulating to the DEC. Not necessarily that they would need a permit, but so that the DEC could determine that for themselves. Another question I had for the applicant is there a net loss or gain of solar panels? So that what you take
Thank you.
I'm going to address the second question first, and then I'm going to let Joe talk about the aspects that were raised. So no, net, it will be the same number of panels. And so the system size remains, okay, let me correct. The size of the number of panels changes because every day you have newer generation, larger, more efficient panels or whatever. The total system size will be the same. By a few hundred, the number of panels will be the same. You know, it's going to be a marginal difference. It could be a little bit less, a little bit more, but the total system size, which is what we really are looking at, will be the same.
Yeah, and regarding the contamination on that southern new pod of panels, previously a phase 2 study was prepared by a different engineer. So we're working with that, and we're going to work with DEC to see if there's any specific requirements for a couple of areas where we're proposing disturbance to construct the new array, specifically for the turnaround area for the extended access road. There is some conflict with some areas that got flagged for lead because it was an old firing range. So we're reaching out to DEC, and we'll provide some correspondence from them on any guidance they have. But in terms of preventing runoff into the state wetlands, the SWIP will be revised to include that new area as disturbance, and obviously the associated perimeter protection like silt fence and other erosion control measures will be in place prior to construction.
So I have some comments from the Fire Advisory Board. They want to know about the tightness of the turnaround within the proximity of trees and fences, you know, for their trucks. A pull-off area they thought would be needed based on the length of the driveway. And the culvert pipe needs to be rated to hold fire equipment up to 90,000 pounds. What else? They were questioning whether 3 gates were needed, and they thought if you moved a fence onto the other side, you could eliminate a gate, something like. Can easterly array field fence be kept on same side of driveway to eliminate 2 more gates to reach the west field?
Maybe to connect those two center pods of panels, the east and I guess the center.
Yeah, because it seems like with the 3 gates, it would take so much time to get to something. If there was a fire, it would be.
Yeah, understood. We can maybe look
Yeah.
at simplifying that and see
Yeah.
if there's any way to incorporate that with the existing crossing.
Okay, that would be great. And the Fire Advisory Board is requesting a meeting with the applicant. That's all of their comments.
Not a problem. Who do we contact to schedule the meeting?
Christian, can you give them the information later? Okay.
Hi, Warren Rosenthal. I'm with IPP, but I formerly was with Winnicke. So I'm sort of wearing 2 hats, but not officially. So I wanted to just make a couple of quick comments. One, I think you'll see that there is a memo there. Director indicated basically support for the amendment, indicating that they thought that there actually potentially could be, it's at least neutral as far as conservation value, potentially could even be an enhancement. And I just also wanted to mention, again, it's in the, I believe in one of the memos, it talks about the fact that we are going to be doing some cleanup in the junkyard area. So before that, I don't think that was part of the plan, but there are still, I believe, at least 3 autos, maybe 4, that are still on site. 2 of them are actually in a sensitive area, so we'll need to get a permit to remove those. But and there's also some debris that's was dumped over the side of the bank next to the stream, and that's going to be pulled back. Again, we're not going to be doing any excavating, but we're going to be trying to clean up as much of the debris, surface debris as possible. So I think when we're done, it's actually going to be a cleaner site, at least on the surface, than it is today. So those I just wanted to make those observations. I guess the other thing I'll mention is that as far as fire access, of course, there's going to be fire access off of Mill Lane either end,
Yep,
and the truck should be able to go all the way through from one end
to the other.
to the other.
Okay, good.
Right.
Well, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any comments or questions for them?
If you find anything additional besides in the junkyard area, if you find any additional, like tanks or anything like that, are you gonna remove these?
Yes, we have walked the site, myself at least twice, and I think Warren and our environmental engineer at least 2 or 3 times, and we have pretty much identified everything. What is there right now to remove is honestly barely 2 days of work to remove, and it's not really meaningful. I'm not talking about the shooting range and the lead and so on, that's a different story, but the debris that you have there is really not a big deal. And of course, you know, we like to have common sense, and whatever is there that is, it's just,
No, but when you're doing the installation, if you go down and you hit something, right? You know,
yeah, I mean, absolutely,
okay,
you know.
Nobody knows what's buried there.
Sure. Now, again, if
I'm not saying
who knows what we're gonna, you
No,
know,
I
run into, and you know, but if we find anything that is really strange, obviously we'll have to we'll have to see what's going on, and you know, but sure, I think, you know, when you install the solar panels and put posts in the ground 6 feet deep, if you have anything on the way, you just need to handle that.
Okay. So if you do hit something, you'll remove it?
Absolutely, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, anybody? Go ahead.
You mentioned here that none of the panels would be visible from Mill Lane. Is that a lot of tree cover there? Is that what's shading it out?
I think the topo is,
Yeah, so over here, you've got the very steep topo, so this is all, you can't see the Mill Lane at all from here, and then there'll be a gate here, and even as you drive by, I think you're gonna be hard pressed to really notice anything. I mean, it'll be far enough in. I don't know if you guys are real familiar with that spot, but again, depending on exactly where the panels are, you probably won't even see them. Or if you do, it'll be just a glimpse as you're going by. But all around through here, you can't see anything because there's a pretty big hill there.
In the past, for this project, we also ran line of sight diagrams, so we could add an additional line of sight diagram right from Mill Lane just to verify that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you.
Okay, Megan, do you have anything? No, I do not. You do not? Not right now. So I would like to make a recommendation that the fees be waived, since this is a modified amendment. So do I have a second? And any discussion? Second, Norm? Any discussion on that?
I'll just note for the record that this is for the town board to decide whether or not your fees are waived, because they will make that decision. But the planning board would recommend, as the chair has done, that the fees be waived because you've already gone through extensive review, but you've reached your 2-year limitation. So this is treated as a reapplication.
understood.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So you'll be on for next month.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next up, Mental Health America of Dutchess County.
Good evening. Wasn't really prepared to give a presentation. We submitted our sign permit. I'm Noelle Cretone from Mental Health America. Here with me are a couple of our veterans, Victor and Anthony. As you know, we are new to Pleasant Valley and the building at 1335 Route 44. There is an existing sign structure already there. We didn't do anything to it. We just modified the inserts to represent our tenants in the building, which is Dutchess County Veterans Alliance, Mental Health America. Who else do we have in there?
There's a VA component, with like a telehealth in there, so we put their name on it. Hudson Valley Veterans Alliance.
And Hudson Valley, yeah, the
The
county.
VSA and the VSO, so the Veteran Service Agency.
So we just updated the existing signage. We may be coming forward in the future to do something new, but at this juncture, all we have is what was already there. We just changed up the inserts.
Okay, thank you. Megan, did you have some comments?
So as they already noted, this is a pre-existing sign structure. Generally, the town of Pleasant Valley's code is that you're only allowed to have 2 or 3 colors. But as this is the American flag and logos for the actual business, they are exempt. The code recommends that signs consist of light lettering on a dark background. All of these signs are the opposite, so dark letters on a white background. That's in the board's purview to decide. If you like these, then the code does not object outright. There is a code section that states that monument signs are required to include a decorative rock or stone base and that landscaping be installed around the base. The sign is pre-existing, so the board could say that it's not necessary. This would also be a good moment for the board to determine that they would like something like that added to the sign structure.
Thank you. I would like to state that I do think the landscaping and the stone base would really be nice, because the sign pictures that we have anyway, it's just, yeah, okay. It's not.
Yeah, we're happy to. We're happy
Yeah,
to.
we would really love for you to do that.
Go
If
ahead.
everyone fixes up their stuff, then the
Yeah.
whole town is lifted
Can I
up.
address that?
Yes, go
point?
ahead, go ahead.
There is a stone base on it already existing,
There
and
is?
as a matter of fact, we repaired and cleaned it up.
Oh.
And as far as the landscaping,
That
it is being improved. It was trimmed back because it was wild before we occupied the space. So there was a lot of weeds. It's all been cleaned up. It looks a lot different. The base is there. There's already pre-existing electric. And then we would ask if there is a way of getting a waiver for the dark background and the white lettering, because it really looks beautiful the way it is, and it doesn't make you look at it to obstruct driving or whatever. So it looks a lot different now than maybe the pictures you have.
Right.
that was back in March, I think, when we submitted
Oh,
the
yeah,
application. So
okay.
we've cleaned up, and the base has been repaired.
What, does the board members, what do you all think about the fact that the signs are kind of they're all reversed? Does anybody have any comments on that? They seem fine? They're fine, okay, so that's all good. Let me see here.
Just one quick question. You mentioned there was electricity. Do you plan to light the sign?
Not now, but in the
I mean,
future, if we...
we didn't know how much we could do or not do, so we just went with what was there already, so we could put a sign up, because we really did want to get going, and people were asking, hey, when you guys gonna put a sign up? They couldn't really see the places they were driving by and stuff like that, so we did this so we could have something in place in the future, maybe,
I'd suggest if the board agrees, if you'd like to have lighting, that you just go ahead. The board in the past has preferred downlit signs. And if you put that on your application, add it to the application for the sign, then you won't have to come back
Okay.
at the point.
Is there a problem with the lighting up at the sign? Downlit signs from our point would be subject to traffic seeing that. When it's just reflective lighting, like you would do a flag, it doesn't affect the traffic.
I don't think we have any provision against.
And it's already there.
Right.
Right.
It's none of those, yeah. No, yeah, none of these are that, so
Okay.
that should be okay.
Excellent.
Right, you don't want to have light shining in
No.
driver's eyes or anything like
Nope.
that. Okay,
Too many signs we see out on the road are that way. You drive down
If
the
you're
road,
not very
all you see
careful,
is the
yeah.
light,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't see the object. We would just want to, illuminate the sign, not the road.
okay.
Thanks.
So,
Thank you.
so will they come back? They don't have to come back.
If we just get what she had, those recommendations, we can take care of all that. If you can give us those recommendations that you have, we can correct all this. Well, it wasn't
Did
just
we
the
address all your concerns?
Sorry.
and-
Yes, so I'm going to make a motion that we approve, including the uplighting as stated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Rebecca, all in favor?
Thank
That's
you.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I look forward to a nice sign. I drive that road all the time. That's a good idea, actually. All righty. The mobile sign?
Good evening, all. My name is Chris Howalker. I'm the owner of Ready Imaging, the contractor hired for this location, 2480 Route 44, which is the existing mobile gas station. So the purpose of this is two-part. One is for the main ID sign that shows the prices, and the second is for the synergy apertures that will get installed underneath the canopy around the dispensers. So for the main ID or pylon sign, we're keeping the sign the same size. On the actual price sign, right now, it's regular diesel and E85 with manual pricing, and the dealer would like to go to LED pricing. We originally submitted a sign that toggled between cash and credit, and once we learned that was not allowed, we said that we would keep the same sign as is, but it will not toggle. So for example, on the existing sign where it says self-cash or credit, now it will be a 6-inch LED box that says either credit or cash. And the purpose of remaining that in the dealer has the option in 3 years down the line, he might want to go cash pricing or he might want to do credit pricing. Right now, it's only single tier pricing. Is getting refaced, so instead of the light blue with black lettering, it's going to be blue with white lettering, which is up to mobile standards. The second part of the permit is the synergy apertures. So this is a program that mobile requires all dealers to upgrade. It includes, for this site, 5 blades, which are about 3 feet long, that connect to the canopy columns and overhang the dispensers, and then 4 koalas, which hug the columns. And the purpose of the koalas is it has all their safety information on it, such as no smoking, no using your cell phone, the stuff that normally either goes on a dispenser or column. This is to make it more visible so everyone knows the safety rules. And then lastly, it's number wedges. Number wedges go on the columns and they simply point out what pump you're at, so it's directional, and it helps, especially in the store, the cashier, when someone says, hey, I'm at this pump, they can kind of see it a little easier.
Have you submitted the sign for us to? look
Yes,
at?
we submitted it back in January.
But is that that is not the new sign? The one back in January?
This one? Oh, this one, actually, I apologize. This one right here. So essentially the same sign, just the top part is a little different. I think we emailed it last week, or actually, yeah, last Monday. I have a copy.
Yes,
of
can
it
you
if you'd
give her a
like.
copy so she
Yeah,
can take
absolutely.
a review
Thank you.
of that, please? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, because it has LED pricing. Other. Correct, yep. We're not changing the cabinet, we're just putting in a new face. Yes, yep. And then the kerosene is just different colors, but that doesn't have a price in it.
So did you want to make any comments, Megan? Thank you.
So CPL has not done a detailed review of this, obviously. Since the sign, the larger price sign is in the same location and the same size that it currently is, I don't see why that would be a problem. The additional signage throughout the site on the gas pumps, as he stated, a lot of them are for safety purposes and directional, so those would be exempt. Any of the other signage, I assume is also pretty much a replacement. Is there any areas that are having new signage?
Just the blades that connect to the column and go 3 feet out.
Okay,
But that's also not a requirement by mobile. They really push the number wedges and the koalas.
okay.
So that's something for decision.
So really, the only thing that's not being switched out would be those red. Do you guys have a copy of this in front of you?
No. All right, that's,
And what's the purpose of those bins?
The blades are essentially advertisement for mobile. On it, it says Synergy, which is their new type of fuel. So they don't really serve much of a purpose besides that.
okay. Okay.
So I have no negative comments, it's just at the board's discretion at this point.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions or comments on the sign? No? Everything seems okay? Yes? Yep. Okay, can I just make a motion? I make a motion that we approve the sign, and as stated in the comments, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Norm. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you all for your time tonight.
We need, since we didn't have
I
one in
should-
the packet,
Initial what he gave to you.
we need
Okay.
to initial what, yeah.
You gave it
Oh,
back to him?
oh.
Sir, can we have that picture of the sign back?
Yeah.
We need that for our records, please. Thank you. Yep, you too. Okay, AutoZone.
Good evening. My name is Eric Jeter. I'm with Hayduck Engineering. I'm the Director of Civil Engineering. I guess I'll let you guys take the floor.
Megan, do you have any comments about the AutoZone? We're two things. It's the sign and the change of occupancy.
Let me bring it back down. So, starting with the change of occupancy, CPL had no comments. We did prepare a resolution of approval for the board's consideration tonight. Regarding the sign, a few changes have happened since my letter went out in early June. So one of them being that, Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, the sign lighting could be considered backlit instead of internally illuminated, because even though the lights are physically inside the letters of the sign, the letters are opaque. So the light is only going to show up on the wall of the building. So it's not a traditional, it doesn't look like a neon sign or anything like that. The applicant has submitted a revised sign that's smaller than the one I was looking at when I wrote this comment memo. Unfortunately, it's still too large per code. So the applicant will either have to revise that again or appear before the Zoning Board of Appeals to ask for an appeal, or a variance, I'm sorry. And I think that's it for me.
Just real quick, what sizes do you have on the record? If you don't have it, I think he's got it as well.
I think the most recent one that I looked at was still 29 square feet for the large sign. It was like 11 by almost 3 feet.
I have 1'8" by 10'3" for the letters.
It's, the whole sign counts.
Oh, the backer panel also?
The total panel.
Oh, okay. All right, so we could shrink the backer panel down
Yeah, totally up to you guys.
or get a variance.
I do have some comments from our fire advisory board. New tenant needs updated key in Knox box for access for fire department.
We can do that,
Okay. Updated contact information for key holders is needed.
absolutely.
Any and all flammables and combustibles should be stored and labeled as per code.
Understood.
An enlarged map be given to the fire department chief where battery charging station and hazardous materials will be stored based upon an as-built plan.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you. Does anyone have any comments or questions for them? So do we do like conditional? We have to have them come back. Okay, so if you're in agreement to shrinking your sign so that it comes into code, we can give you a conditional approval tonight.
What is the square footage allowed? 24 square feet?
So essentially, if you have it's 12 foot long, it'd be 24 height.
Correct.
Otherwise, you have to go to the zoning board of appeals for a variance.
I think we can conform with the
You'll go
signage.
Okay. So then, okay. So I make a motion for approval based on a condition of the submission of a new sign that is within our code. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Rebecca. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, go ahead, Phil. Hold on.
Are they going to submit a new sign? that
Yes,
we
they
can
must
see?
submit a new.
Right.
They don't, the board doesn't review it again because all they're doing is shrinking it down.
Someone will look at it.
It will be approved as.
Megan will look at it. Okay, so that was the sign, and now we have the, she's got something.
Yes, it's indicated on it.
Thank you.
We have the occupancy. Does anyone have any questions about that before we move forward? No? No? Okay. So I have a resolution tonight for change of occupancy. Now therefore it be resolved that the application for a change of use occupancy for AutoZone be approved. The requirement for a public hearing is waived, and the zoning administrator may issue the necessary building permits upon completion of such conditions as are noted below. Payment of all fees and a building permit will be required. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Norm? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. You're all approved.
Thank you. One quick question. The letter from the fire marshal, will a copy be sent to the applicant? Or could I obtain?
Can you,
copy?
yes, she'll send you that
Wonderful,
letter
thank you.
from the Fire Advisory Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Todd Ravenette, ground roof solar.
Yes, I'm proposing a roughly 19 kilowatt mixed ground and roof solar array at my house at 43 Red Fox Lane in Salt Point. The offsets from the property line is about 66 and a half feet. Per code, I believe it was 20 feet required, and the location is not going to be visible to any neighbors. Having to do with the topography of the land and the tree cover.
Okay. Megan, do you have any comments?
So, obviously, ground-mounted solar is permitted in this district. The applicant, per code, is required to submit a copy of their application to the public electrical utility, to us as well, and to confirm that no batteries are proposed, that it's for personal use only. So the applicant has submitted a Dutchess County parcel access screenshot with a sketch on it. We do need a set of plans, or a plan sheet at least, showing, you say that you meet the Balkan area requirements. That's great. We just need a plan that shows that and where the array is going to be with measurements, where the trench would be for the electric to reach the house from the array. The board has the ability to require additional screenings. That's at your discretion. And that's all of mine.
I have some comments from the Fire Advisory Board for you.
Yes.
They'd like the lines to be labeled.
The lines, ground lines to be labeled?
I think so.
Um,
That's what they're referring to.
I'm sorry, does that mean just tape underground? Is that or is there a specific way to label that?
On a map.
Oh, of course.
Need shut-off access that isolates the panel from the structure. And both shut-off installations need to be in the same disconnect on the exterior of the building.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, that's it. That's all they had for you.
In terms of the plans, I have a survey map. Again, it's just a sketch that shows the location with it does not show the trench location, and it does not show the existing shed because it is an older survey. I mean,
Okay, so unfortunately, generally, the board would not be able to accept that because that's a survey done by a licensed surveyor that then was just drawn on.
okay.
So we
So does the board require a new survey of my property for this?
typically,
Yeah.
or if you don't have an existing survey that's prepared by an engineer or a surveyor. So basically, we need a way to confirm that all these measurements that you're stating are correct. So if it's not to scale, we have no way to do that.
Yes, I understand that. 20 feet. I'm proposing 66 feet. It seems that the expense of an additional survey is rather high from when I'm factor of 3 inside the code.
So, correct me if you're wrong. I'm just stating the requirements of the code. The board can take my comments or leave them, but those are my comments.
Also, to address the public utility, Central Hudson allows a pre-application if you are building an array above 25 kilowatts. For an array below 25 kilowatts, they don't accept applications until it's time for an interconnect.
Oh.
So I have no way of providing that.
Okay. Do board members have questions or comments? Go ahead.
You've shown it on the plot. Do you plan to cut down any of the trees? That
No, the trees have already been removed. They were removed as part of a landscaping and pool construction that was done under a permit in 2019 and 2020.
Okay. So the array is not visible from your neighbors?
No.
Not by your trees, though, but by their trees?
No, by my trees.
There are still trees
Yes,
in
there are
that
absolutely.
60s? Okay.
Yes.
And that?
And it's because of the topography of the land, even if there were 0 trees on my property, it still wouldn't be visible. But I don't propose removing any additional trees.
How do people feel about the need for another,
Survey.
sorry, another survey? Do we want to have, no? Because we do have we can waive that. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, it seems onerous.
Seems onerous. Okay,
I have a question.
okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
There's a parcel just to the right, 3.3 acres. Is that a buildable lot, or is that a piece of land you own?
I'm sorry, the parcel that is adjacent to,
It's 3.3
oh,
acres.
that is not a buildable lot. It's a landlocked parcel that I do not own. But that, I don't have the dimensions here, but that's roughly 150 feet from that property line. It's also up a very substantial hill.
So it's, right now it doesn't have access and someone couldn't build on it.
No one could build on that right now.
If they did, they probably would be able to see
If
the panels.
no, they would not actually. I'm trying to, based on the topography, my property line is up an embankment. I'm gonna give you an estimate. It's at least a 75-foot high embankment from where the proposed solar array will be. So someone would have to, there's no possible way that that 3.3 acre lot could view these solar arrays unless they built a
Just asking
tower.
Because there's no topography on here, so it's hard.
Yeah, I understand. I
But
apologize.
I understand what you're saying.
I think in the instance where we have sufficient footage to be well beyond the 20 feet required, I mean, I do agree with Megan that we can't tell precisely without a survey, but when we have a 40-foot possibility, and just stating that this will be part of the record, so where you've shown the, so if for any reason at any point it becomes necessary when they're put in for someone to go out, and usually the zoning administrator, this will require a building permit.
Yes,
So they will go out and be able to at least do a sightline
of course they would.
assessment. He may even walk it off or roller it off or something like that. So I would say that, you know, we wouldn't hold you to exactly 66 feet, but if it goes substantially closer, then you would not have met your approval.
Understood.
So the surveys are sometimes to protect you as well. I understand how onerous they are, and I think the board has indicated they're comfortable with not having a survey, but just being aware that when you pull your building permit, and if it's substantially different than 66 feet, if it's only 25 feet.
I understand. It would be physically difficult to make it only 25 feet.
Anyone else? Then I make a motion that we approve your request and with no need for a new survey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Norm. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I think that's it. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. So,
Yes, I'm going to.
we have a conflict issue that I need your approval for Trish to sign a conflict waiver. A member of Van Water represented privately Tim Rychek in a trust and estates matter. It has no bearing on the subdivision application that he filed before the board, but I have to let you know that there's been no appearance of impropriety, and we would be able to represent both of you and him, and neither has any bearing on one another. That is the substance of the waiver that, if granted, you would allow Trish to sign. Are there any questions?
So the legal matter,
Yes.
the legal matter has nothing to do with the
No.
matter that came.
No, my understanding is that it was a will.
Okay. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have to do a motion. I
Yep.
make a motion that I'm able to sign this document. Anybody, a second, please? Second, Eric. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask everyone on the board what they thought about moving our meetings permanently to the fourth Monday of the month. Yes, good? Anybody have any conflict with that? It would be a lot better for me, and I found moving the meeting down as we did, I felt like we had time to get the fire advisory comments in, and it just seemed to be better for everyone, so. Yeah, fourth Monday. Okay, all right, thank you.
When will it start?
Make a motion, did you, sorry, go ahead,
When will it start?
with the next month.
Oh, next month, okay.
So I make a motion to permanently move our meetings to the fourth Monday of the month. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Rebecca, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.